Well, let's not be overly nice about this. That dignitary section has some criminals, some thieves, some kings, some presidents, a lot of different types of people, and there has been a lot written and said about where to seat them so they keep their distances. Several factions are not speaking to each other. Several have been lifelong sworn enemies. As Lester noted, the president's handshake with Raul Castro was one of the better moments.
There you go, Mr. Objectivity, Brian Williams on NBC saying that the Obama-Castro handshake was one of the better moments. Welcome, folks, the Wednesday edition of the Steve Malzberg Show, and I'm very happy to say that we kick it off with former GOP presidential candidate, CEO, radio talk show host, Fox News contributor. I don't know how he fits it all on his business card. Herman Cain is with us. Hello, Herman.
I'm doing great, Steve. Thank you. And by the way, that handshake that you played in that opening clip, that was not one of the greatest moments of that memorial. It was probably one of the worst displays that our president could have done, knowing the history between our two countries. And he offended every Cuban American that know what that government has done over the years.
Well, I'll make it even worse. And I speculated about this yesterday on this show to I think it was Congressman Camp. I said, I bet you we're going to find out, just like we found out after the phony, I tried to shake the Iranian president's hand at the UN. Right. Then he called him in the limo. And then he said, we're going to have talks, when they had been talking all along. I said, I bet we're going to find out the same thing, that we've been talking to Cuba. And now comes a report that yes, indeed, they've been talking for, I'd say, the last 6 months. So I'm not surprised. This is who Obama is. If you're our enemy, if you're a murderous, dictatorial thug, he'll shake your hand. If you have American prisoners or blood on your hands, he'll shake your hand. If you're Netanyahu, if you're our ally, he'll shun you.
This has been the history of this president. And a lot of people who were so enamored with him and who really, really wanted to believe in him have been reluctant to recognize exactly what's going on. But I think at this point, even some of the most ardent supporters of President Obama are now starting to open their eyes, thank God, and starting to realize that he has only one interest at heart, and that is his personal agenda. It has nothing to do with strengthening the United States of America. It has nothing to do with the respect of this country and the rest of the world. All he cares about is hopefully enhancing his respect, because they now see our president as someone who is weak, who is a non-leader, and who will deceive his own people for political gains. Right. That's what people see.
Absolutely. Now, let me put it in the context of how inappropriate the whole thing was. First of all, I didn't bother to keep counting, but he said in his speech, Obama, at Mandela's memorial service, I, me, I, me, I. I mean, that was every other word. And then we're putting up on the screen here for those watching at Newsmax TV the now infamous selfie, where he took a picture with Cameron, the Prime Minister of Great Britain, of course, and the Danish the Prime Minister, who was a female, and then Michelle apparently didn't like it too much. What do you think? I mean, how could you be seen smiling and mugging for the camera, taking a selfie during a memorial service?
Well, I think it gets back to something that you said earlier. He is so disengaged that he does not know that the rest of the world or the people of the United States are basically interpreting, watching his every move. Even things that he thinks that are so innocent, they have innuendos. When you are president of the United States of America and you are in that environment with all of these world leaders, the people of this country expect our president to portray himself much more presidential, much more representative of the people than just representative of himself, as if he is a kid in Disneyland.
Yeah, but and what does it say about him? I mean, I know that you're right. You're absolutely right. That's how it's interpreted. That's what he should know. But what kind of person does something like that? Gives a eulogy and talks about yourself, and then goes and takes pictures during the rest of the service. I mean, what does it say about him?
Well, it says that he's self-absorbed and he is arrogant. Those are the two things that I think comes through, and everything, and it just becomes more and more clearer. I mean, you don't have to just look at the Mandela Memorial. You can look at any event that was going on where the President of the United States was expected to make some remarks, and it's always about him. Even with pictures, it's all about him. That just shows the kind of conceit that this president has. And as a result, the American people, some of us, are beginning to see it, but a lot of people are still in denial.
We're talking to Herman Cain, former Republican presidential candidate and radio talk show host and Fox News contributor here on the Steve Malzberg Show. All right, let me ask you, do you have any intention, might you be considering running again? Where do you stand with regard to 2016?
Relative to 2016, I tell people, pray for this country and pray for me. That being said, I have no intentions and no plans of running. I didn't have any intentions or plans to run the last time. Steve, I am a firm believer in divine guidance. I was led to run before I did. I don't regret it at all. But at this point, I don't have any political plans where I'm putting together a plan to try to run, but you can't ever say never, because you never know how things are going to change. Here's an example. How many people that stayed home in 2012 for the presidential election thought that President Barack Obama was going to get reelected? Many people stayed home, Steve, because they thought there was no way his supporters could support him with his bad record. Well, they were dead wrong. And so a lot of these people who are complaining about what's going on in Congress, the fact that we have a divided government, the fact that we have a president that is, quite frankly, Steve, and I hate to say this, starting to embarrass me as a citizen of this country with some of his deceit and some of the things that he's doing, the people who stayed home because they didn't think that it was possible, they should be looking in the mirror. The second thing that they ought to be doing is saying, what do they need to do in 2014 to make sure that we at least take back control of both houses in Congress,
well, let me ask
so
you,
we can slow him down.
Let me ask you, we only have 2 minutes left. So you're not ruling it out, but you're not planning anything right now. Let me ask you about the leadership in the Republican Party. They just did a budget deal, which I think is designed to just keep this, not keep the status quo, but to prevent any kind of shutdown, any kind of controversy, so they don't have to take a stand. They funded Obamacare. They funded a $1 trillion budget. I mean, what's your take on Republican leadership at this point?
The Republican leadership at this point is weak. That's number one. But in fairness to them, they're in a corner. We have a divided government. You have a Democrat-controlled Senate and a Democrat president that are sticking together. And the Republicans, quite frankly, are right. They can't win the "we didn't shut down the government" battle. We saw that before. It wasn't that they shut it down. It was that the mainstream media played the narrative that was put out by the Democrats and the Democrat leaders, and unfortunately, a majority of the American people bought it.
I agree with you. So do you think this budget deal that Ryan struck is the right way to go?
It's a conciliation such that they don't be further damaged, because if they do it right, they should be able to leverage the damage of Obamacare. In other words, pick your battles. And it appears as if they've decided to get what they could out of this so-called budget deal, which isn't everything that they wanted.
Right, but
because now they've got some tremendous ammunition, if they use it right, to position them for 2014 in November.
Sir,
and it starts with the big letter O.
That's right, sir. A pleasure talking to you. I hope you'll come back soon. Great luck. We'll watch you. We'll listen to you. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Steve.
Herman Cain, ladies and gentlemen, on the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.